manufacturer to break the 300 miles per hour barrier. This version has a modified car body and specially developed tires. The standard Bugatti Chiron isn't exactly slow. It can top out at 261 miles an hour. I do not think I'd want to be in a car going 300 miles an hour.
And what does that car cost?
$3 million. Well, this is a special one. Yeah, over $3 million.
Yeah, you need that on the Beltline.
It'd make your commute really quick. 300 miles an hour going down Gammon Road. All right, that's our time for now. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you back here again tomorrow. News 3 Now at 5 starts right now.
Right now at 5, a Beloit couple charged with child neglect is sentenced. What the judge is saying about the mother in Rock County Court today.
School is back in session, and we're reminding everyone.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now at 5.
Thanks for staying with News 3 Now. A jail sentence and probation now awaits the Beloit parents' arrest on multiple charges of child neglect in 2018.
Heather LaCadrick McCoy, were sentenced in Rock County Court this morning. Rock County reporter Adam Duxter joins us from our bureau at the Janesville Gazette with what the judge is saying today. Adam?
Well, Susan and Eric, LaCadrick and Heather McCoy will spend the next 3 years on probation, with Heather facing an additional 60 days of jail time. And back in 2018, police raided their house where they say they found all sorts of things like garbage, rat droppings, and flies, along with 8 children living inside. Judge Carl Hansen said the police report was one of the most shocking he's ever seen. At today's sentencing, he said Heather's actions, well in court in particular, make it seem like she's not concerned.
From the time that I took your plea, you have rolled your eyes at me. You have shaken your head in disagreement with everything that everyone in this courtroom has said about what has happened in these circumstances. And I sit here today, ma'am, fully believing that you do not appreciate the seriousness of the willful neglect that you demonstrated towards these children.
The McCoys say their home is clean and that they've had their children back at home for months now. But tonight at 6, you'll hear why they say they were unfairly treated, as well as what they would change if they could go back in time, as well as the retaliation they faced since this started back in the spring of 2018.
Adam Dexter in our Rock County Bureau. Adam, thank you. A Platteville man is dead following a crash in Grant County. Deputies say 21-year-old Brandon Furstenberg died Sunday after the vehicle that he was in rolled over on County Highway Q just west of County G. Deputies say Furstenberg failed to negotiate a corner, lost control, and was thrown from the vehicle. He was found dead at the scene. His passenger, 29-year-old Jonathan Paredes from Chicago, was airlifted to the hospital. His condition is unknown at this time. Furstenberg's death marks the 6th person killed in a crash in Grant County this year.
4 teens are arrested after stealing a car in Monona. Early this morning, Monona officers were called to the Walmart store for suspicious activity with a suspected stolen vehicle. Police say 4 teens took off. They were eventually apprehended. 17-year-old Raheem Jones, 17-year-old Daryl Shelton, along with a 15-year-old and a 16-year-old, both males, were arrested. Investigators say the 15-year-old suspect had a stolen debit card that had been taken from a vehicle and had 2 knives on him. Police say the 16-year-old was the driver. All of the teens are facing now multiple charges. Madison School and Recreation, Community Recreation's executive director is out on a signature bond tonight after spending the weekend in jail.
Jacob Tissue was arrested on Thursday for multiple counts of possession of child pornography. Our Amanda Quintana is here. She has the details on his bail conditions. Amanda.
Well, the judge decided because of Tissue's ties to the Madison community, including his wife and 3 kids who live here, he is not a flight risk, granting him release on a signature bond today. The 44-year-old is facing 12 counts of child pornography. Following his arrest on Thursday, the Madison Metropolitan School District placed Tissue on an administrative leave. The state wanted to also require that he have no contact with juveniles, but his lawyer argued that would mean he couldn't go home.
He's not going anywhere and has ties to the community. And in terms of the juveniles, he lives with 3 juveniles. This is not a case of touching. I know what the case is about. I understand it's a child pornography allegation, but he's innocent until proven guilty, and there's no allegation he's taken these pictures of children themselves or that he's touched any children.
His attorney argued that besides an OWI and marijuana possession charge in the 90s, Tissue does not have a criminal record. The judge, though, said there is reasonable concern since studies show people in possession of child porn would act on those impulses if they had the opportunity. So the judge ordered Tissue have no unsupervised contact with any other children besides his own kids. He will be in court again next week.
Thanks, Amanda. Police say an officer fatally shot a suspect after a pursuit ended with a crash in Kaukauna. Fox Valley Metro Police say the chase ended this morning when the suspect crashed near County Highway 00 and State Highway 55. Authorities say the suspect was shot in the upper body and was taken to the hospital. There is no immediate word on what prompted police to shoot or why they were in pursuit. The Wisconsin Department of Justice is among the agencies investigating.
Let's get a look at your first alert weather now. Chief Meteorologist Gary Kennelty joins us from the weather patio. Gary?
You know, skies have cleared out over here. We've had a cold front come through, and that is starting to dry out the air. There still are a couple of isolated showers and thunderstorms well east of Madison. In fact, when we take a look at visible cloud track, we had clouds for much of the morning. Sun came out this afternoon, but that was right about the time the cold front was coming through. So while the Storm Prediction Center still has a slight risk of severe thunderstorms over far southeastern Wisconsin, you can see where the activity has been developing, and mainly it's from Jefferson County now into Milwaukee County, and mostly pretty much out of our viewing area. Temperatures right now are in the upper 70s to the lower 80s. But look at the difference in dew points. Lower 70s over southeastern Wisconsin, mid 50s to our north and west. By tomorrow morning, temperatures will be down in the mid 50s with partly cloudy skies. Look for a partly sunny and cooler day tomorrow with a high of 69. That's your News 3 Now First Alert forecast.
All right, thank you, Gary. Health officials say nearly 50,000 children in Wisconsin have vaccination waivers as the school year gets underway, leaving them vulnerable to measles at a time when the number of cases has grown exponentially across the country. Immunization rates of 92 to 95% are considered necessary to prevent the virus from spreading to those who are vulnerable. Wisconsin's county-by-county immunization rates show that none of the state's 72 counties came close to the 92% threshold last year. In fact, 40 counties had immunization rates below 80%. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention say there were 1,215 cases of measles this year across the nation. That is the highest number since 1992.
An influential group of sportsmen says the State Department of Natural Resources needs to better educate people about chronic wasting disease. That suggestion among a set of recommendations the Conservation Congress unveiled, with the department highlighting efforts to deal with the disease as the fall deer hunting season approaches. The Congress says every DNR employee should be given CWD brochures to hand out to people and also make CWD information more readily accessible on their website. The group also called on the DNR to expand the number of unmanned kiosks across the state where hunters can drop off tissue samples from their kills for testing.
Ultimately, everybody would love to see CWD go away. That's not going to happen at this time. The science that we have, there's no way to do that. So all we can do is manage the disease until science comes through.
State Department of Natural Resources has ordered hunters in a half dozen northwestern Wisconsin townships to submit deer they killed this fall for chronic wasting disease testing. As
the original Michael's Frozen Custard location prepares to close, an attorney representing the owner's husband is asking the community for help. Michael Dix is the owner of Michael's Frozen Custard. He married Sergio de la Hernandez in 2015. In August of 2018, Hernandez was denied a visa that would allow him to gain legal status in the United States and continue living with his husband. The pair is living in Mexico, Hernandez's home country, as they work to appeal the decision. Their attorney hopes letters from the community will help with that process. For more information on where to send the letters, head to channel3000.com.
Madison mayor stressing affordable housing and public transit in her first capital budget. Mayor Satya Rhodes Conway presented that budget this afternoon along with those investments. She says her plan prepares the city for the ongoing impact of climate change, and that includes money for flood mitigation projects and efforts to keep chloride and PFAS out of our water, as well as continued funding for sustainability programs, solar installations, and renewable energy credits.
It is our goal to increase the city's energy generated from renewable sources by 33% in 2020.
Mayor Rhodes Conway says she'll follow through with her predecessor's plan to build and open a public market, but she is shifting how the city's share of that will be covered, and asking the Public Market Foundation to raise an additional $500,000 to further lower the burden on taxpayers.
Madison schools are welcoming students back today for a new school year. Freshmen at La Follette High School got a special greeting, complete with the red carpet treatment, a DJ, and donuts. Upperclassmen return to the same welcome tomorrow. And that's where we caught up with the school's new principal this morning. Last school year, police investigated alleged sexual assaults involving 2 teens within La Follette and responded to reports of fights in a nearby neighborhood where a shooting injured a teenager. New principal Devon LaRosa hopes parents will come to staff with any worries and plans to address those concerns in part by focusing on building relationships with students.
Kids feel like they belong and feel like they're a part of something. The other stuff goes away in my mind, and really it's been proven. Any educational research will tell you, build solidified relationships where kids feel like they have a place and a safe, secure place and someone to talk to, and they know that they matter and we care about them, and it's true. I think everything else falls by the wayside.
Interim Superintendent Dr. Jane Bellamore echoes the priority of building strong relationships with students. She wants students and families to feel welcome in the district, adding the district had a goal of Black excellence this year. It comes after multiple teachers were accused of racism last year.
We've already said that's not to be allowed at all, no matter what. There's no tolerance for that, and we've let our staff know that, and we'll be taking actions if that does occur, and we don't expect it to. We expect it to be a really good year.
Since the last school year, Belmore says schools have updated safety procedures. Belmore will serve as interim superintendent while the school board searches for a full-time replacement after Dr. Jennifer Cheatham left for another job earlier this year.
And we're back with our Time for Kids effort, the BU campaign, with our partners at SSM Health, a chance to remind our kids and ourselves to be confident in who we are.
Danica Lewis has more on a crew that is doing just that. Danica?
Well, Susan and Eric, I know it's been a while since we talked about this BU campaign, but with school back in full swing, as Susan just mentioned, we want to remind everyone just how important it is to just be you. Today, we introduce you to a mom who is pushing that message that is not just for her daughter, but for anyone out there struggling to feel like they belong.
We can say a lot with the shirt we wear. It can be a sign of fandom.
I love Carly Rae Jepsen.
A show of shopping habits.
Keep it funny and keep it thrifty.
Or a yearning for years past.
My shirt says that I'm still trying to hang on to my youth even though I'm about 40 years old, so.
For April Vossen.
There is a difference between fitting in and belonging.
A shirt can inspire and empower.
We all have uniqueness in us, and that's why we're here.
When Vossen got a degree in psychology, she knew she'd be working with teens to help them through their challenges. She knew it because she'd been there.
I didn't love who I was and didn't feel like I had purpose and didn't know where my life was going to take me.
About a year ago, she launched the BU Crew on social media, a place where she could spread her positive message to the masses on platforms that don't always encourage people to stand out.
You seriously have like a purpose and you have so much potential. And if I could just tell every single person that, I would feel complete.
It's something Vossen hopes resonates with her daughter, who's too young to understand, let alone say BU Crew. But it's never too early, right?
I want her to set an example that it's cool to love who you are.
It's one thing to wear your heart on your sleeve. It's another to wear your meaning on your heart.
It's vulnerable. And saying that, like, I love who I am is vulnerable. But I want people to know, like, it's great to love who you are.
And hey, if the shirt fits,
no matter our flaws, our weaknesses, our strengths, everything,
wear it.
Vossen is looking forward to partnering with other businesses in more rural areas of southwestern Wisconsin to expand her life coaching and group work. If you want to learn more about that BU Crew or the BU effort here at News 3 Now, you can head on over to channel3000.com/timeforkids, an important time of year to remind our kids and ourselves about this.
Absolutely. Here's first day of school.
You got it.
Very important. All right, Danica, thanks.
Sure.
Thanks, Danica. There's more to come on News 3 Now at 5. Officials have now called off the search for more survivors from that deadly boat fire in California.
And coming up tonight on News 3 Now at 6, as the school year begins, the city of Sun Prairie is set to vote on an anti-bullying ordinance. We're live from the school with more details coming up tonight at 6.
On Wall Street, the Dow takes a dive after the three-day holiday weekend, off 285 points. The Nasdaq lost 89. The S&P 500 dropped 20. We'll be right back. Coast Guard officials have suspended their search for any possible survivors of that tragic boat fire off the coast of California. The 75-foot Conception was on a three-day diving trip when it burst into flames as passengers slept in their bunks below deck. So far, authorities have recovered 20 victims who became trapped in that burning vessel. A woman who visited a memorial honoring those on board says her sister was among the crew members who died.
Obviously, it's a very difficult situation right now, and I'm still in shock. But over time, I think that I'll slowly be able to heal.
Authorities are also interviewing the 5 crew members who escaped to try to figure out what sparked that fire. They say the crew was sleeping on an upper deck where the bridge was located, so they were able to survive.
Dorian is now a Category 2 hurricane, but it is still packing a major punch. The U.S. Coast Guard deployed to the Bahamas, where the Red Cross says 45% of the homes in Grand Bahama and Abaco are destroyed. Over 2 million people from Florida to the Carolinas were warned to evacuate. Florida is now expecting minimal impact, but the governor says people should obey local evacuation orders.
Just ask people to stay safe, remain vigilant. There will be some effects in the state of Florida. There'll be storm surge, there'll be some flooding.
In Georgia, transportation officials opened up interstate evacuation routes, and in South Carolina, the state urged residents to make preparations now.
Even though the category has gone down a bit, Gary will remind us, that really doesn't mean a whole lot if it just sits there and keeps churning up rain, right, Gary?
No, you know, a lot of times an intense hurricane is a little smaller and compact. As the storm weakens a little bit, it actually expands in size, and that's exactly what's happening with Dorian. This is the visible cloud imagery. The clouds have kind of filled in around the eye. That's what has weakened the storm a little bit, but still packing powerful winds. You can see the bands of showers and thunderstorms still moving on shore into Florida, so that will bring some flooding concerns, and also the high surf. I mean, this storm has just been sitting and spinning here and just piling up the water along the east coast of Florida. So that's going to be a concern as Dorian gradually shifts toward the north. Here's the latest information. Maximum sustained winds 110 miles per hour, moving now toward the northwest at 6 miles per hour. Yesterday it just kind of sat over the Bahamas, now starting to drift toward the northwest. The very latest forecast track shows all the computer models bringing it just off the Florida coast and then bringing it very close to the Carolina coast before heading back out into the Atlantic Ocean. So the official forecast track from the National Hurricane Center brings it as a Category 2 hurricane just to the east of Jacksonville, Florida, and then very close to the South Carolina coast, pretty much at the same strength. And then as it starts to accelerate off toward the north and east, fortunately, that with the wind circulation being counterclockwise, the coastal areas will be on the weak side of the storm with perhaps just strong winds, but not as strong as if it was on the east side of the storm. And then the storm accelerates out in the Atlantic Ocean and maintains its streak as it passes through Newfoundland into the eastern portions of Canada. Around here, we had clouds for much of the morning. The sun came out this afternoon, but right about the time a cold front came through, so that has really limited the severe weather threat. Last night, a lot of severe weather over parts of Minnesota, and then those storms weakened as they pushed into southern Wisconsin, but still strong enough to bring some reports of trees and power lines down over Lafayette County. That's also where some very heavy rain of 1 to 2 inches or more, a couple of reports of 3 or more inches from Darlington southward into northwestern Illinois. But this afternoon, just a couple of isolated showers and storms popped up. They're now into the Milwaukee area, and everything to the west is dried out. So right now it looks like the severe weather threat pretty much is over with for Wisconsin, as well as the rain threat as well. The live view from the WISC Skycam toward the east shows even there the sky is clearing out. The Edgewater Skycam looking toward the southeast still shows those buildups well to the south and east of Madison, but those are moving away from us. High today, 81 so far, the low 67. Right now we're at 81, but winds have shifted to the west-northwest at 12 miles per hour. Dew point temperature was close to 70, now has dropped to 61, and you can see the effect of the temperatures. Low 80s here, but already in the 60s across northern Minnesota and northwestern Wisconsin. And those dew point temperatures around 70 in the Milwaukee area, dropped to around 60 in Madison, mid-50s in La Crosse, and already in the low 50s to our north and west. So the air is really drying out. That should make things pretty nice around here. Winds now out of the west and northwest. That is also helping to dry out the air as well. So our forecast for tonight calls for just an outside chance of a shower or thunderstorm east of Madison for about the next hour or so. Low of 54, skies turn partly cloudy overnight. Tomorrow, look for partly sunny skies, a cooler day with a high of 69. On future track, look for temperatures to drop off into the middle 50s by morning. Tomorrow, look for partly sunny skies, but a cooler day with those northwesterly winds, high temperatures in the upper 60s. Tomorrow night, we drop down to around 50 degrees, mostly clear skies, and then back up into the lower 70s on Thursday. As we take a look at the 7 to 10 day forecast, you'll see those temperatures back in the 70s, mid 70s for Friday, a little cooler for the weekend with some rain chances from Saturday night into Sunday. And then as we head into Monday and Tuesday of next week, some thunderstorm chances. That's followed by temperatures between about 70 and 75 for the end of next week. As we take a look at first alert traffic right now, that's the view from the DOT camera at Fish Hatchery Road in the Beltline. You can see the Beltline moving pretty slowly in both directions. Right now, delays eastbound on the Beltline from around Monona Drive back to near Verona Road. Also, an accident near the Beltline at University Avenue. Right now, a 26-minute commute on the eastbound Beltline from University Avenue to the interstate, 18 minutes going back in the westbound direction. Heading out of Madison, it's 28 minutes down to Janesville on I-3990 from the Beltline. 16 minutes to Sauk City on US 12, and 19 minutes out to Sun Prairie on East Washington Avenue and US 151. That's your News 3 Now First Alert traffic.
All right, thank you, Gary.
Still ahead of News 3 Now at 5. What Walmart is doing in response to recent mass shootings in the United States. That's after a short break. Walmart is making changes after the El Paso mass shooting.
The superstore announced today it will stop selling handgun ammunition after selling what it currently has in stock. The announcement follows the August 4th shooting at a Walmart in El Paso, where 22 people were shot and killed. Stores will also begin asking customers not to openly carry weapons inside Walmart locations in states that allow open carry. Concealed carry will be allowed only for gun owners with permits. In addition, Walmart has also been putting pressure on Congress to make changes to gun laws following back-to-back mass shootings in the U.S.
The U.S. may be close to reaching a deal with the Taliban that will allow the U.S. to begin withdrawing thousands of soldiers from Afghanistan. The accord could lead to the gradual drawdown of the 14,000 troops that are still in the country. CBS News has learned any agreement with the U.S. requires the Taliban to make a public break with al-Qaeda and includes a verification system that ensures the Taliban stops any terror groups from operating on their soil to attack America again.
It's important to emphasize this. Any agreement that we have moving forward, the president's been very clear, is going to be conditions-based.
The president said last week the U.S. will keep 8,600 soldiers in Afghanistan to keep the country from becoming a breeding ground once again for terrorists. Stay with us. We'll have another final check of your forecast in just a moment.
Well, there's Doppler track. You can see the rain chances pretty much moving out of the picture. Right now, temperatures are still on the warm side here in Madison, where the sun has come out. We're at 81, where there's been a little more cloud cover. Temperatures are in the upper 70s to the south and east, and still in the 80s as far west as La Crosse. But look at the difference in dew points. Dew point temperatures in the lower 70s over southeastern Wisconsin, but they've dropped to 61 as the air starts to dry out here in Madison, and in the mid 50s to our north and west. And a lot of times when the winds die down, that's about how cool it gets at night. So look for low temperatures tonight in the mid-50s, highs tomorrow back to around 70. Nice for Thursday and Friday, some rain chances toward the end of the weekend, and high temperatures generally in the 70s for next week.
All right, Gary, thanks. Charlotte and I are back in 30 minutes for News 3 Now at 6. Stay tuned now for the CBS Evening News with Nora O'Donnell.